Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Rashmita, and I am the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. The session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. So please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. With this, I would now like to welcome Swami, our speaker for today's session. He is an aspirant software architect and currently works at Applied Information Sciences. He loves to learn about new technologies, but for now, I will hand over to Swami to begin the session. Let me bring him into the stream. Hey, hi, Swami.
Hey Rashmita, good evening. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening. I'm doing good. Hope you are also doing good.
I'm all energized and excited for this third session. So,
Awesome. Let me bring your screen up. Yep, there you go. Over to
thank
you.
you. Thank you so much. So, let's start. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining another episode of Azure AI Engineer series. So, this is the third episode. And as we discussed earlier in the first episode, that we are following the official study guide. Major focus we are putting in on the hands-on part of this. I mean, theoretical part, we have given the every episode we are giving the respective learn modules from where we are doing this hands-on exercise. So another thing what I observed today is I just wanted to quickly walk you guys through review of skills measured as of March 28th. So if you see that in the March 28th one, I think we have already seen it, but let's, for the benefit of doubt, let's do that. This section has been modified and it is very less. The content modernization and the content safety, image and text modernization is there, and the containerization piece. So today those things are there, but I'm keeping a close watch on the series. But if you see that we are going through each and every section, to a decent extent we covered these two and this one partially. And right now we are doing deploy Azure AI services and the content modernization. Again, we will revisit and complete these partially done here and this one. So all these five sections, six sections up till now will be done, and slowly we'll move further. And whatever I think things are changing frequently. So if something is missed, again I'll revisit. But we are not going to slip anything. I just wanted to give that piece of information, and then Rashmita will post the links of my GitHub repository, and today's session, whatever we are discussing, that repository is here. And this link I will update it locally and do a final push by tomorrow. You'll have everything, but as of now, it is to a decent extent everything is there. So now today, what are we going to do? It's a long journey. We'll quickly walk through that. If you see those two previous sessions, 1 and 2 are here. And first we will see how we can create those Azure services, AI services, and also how can we create those as part of the container images. So this is very exciting things. We will discuss those things. And then we will see how can we run that locally on our Docker container. And then we will also deploy the text analytics. I mean, whatever we have chosen from the session one, for the first three sessions, we are sticking to the game plan on language detection. Again, we are going to come back in future with more and different exercises and different samples. So as of today, we will stick to the same model or the concept, whatever we have chosen, text analytics. We'll go ahead with that. And then we'll deploy the same text analytics container to Azure Container Instance. And then how do we interact using the curl, and then how do you interact with the Azure Container Instance using Postman, and how do you interact with the Azure Container Instance with the Python program. I mean, if I'm able to do with this Python program, we'll be able to do it anything like Golang, C Sharp, or Java, or Node.js. Now, sky is the limit kind of thing. So now the key difference is, instead of we hitting the Azure AI services, we are hitting the Azure Container Instance, because the service or the text analytics service itself has been deployed inside the Azure Container Instance as part of the container. So even though we are interacting with the Docker container, but still it does speak to our instance, Azure AI Services instance. It speaks. We will see that how things are happening under the hoods as much as possible, or as much as the logs are being exposed, we will be able to watch that. And after doing that, we will just do a touch upon the classify, moderate, the text moderation. We will not do the image moderation, because I don't want to bring any image and create trouble for myself. Instead, whatever is the default thing is available, I'll use it. But we know the intention, what it is trying to do. At least we'll do it practically and see some of the examples and see some of the features, what it is there, how can we use it in different places. Okay, so that's the context, the big picture, what we are going to do. So it's a fully as any of my episode, it's again another action pack episodes. If anyone is joining for the first time, please watch the previous two sessions over here. I'm turning right side because I'm watching if there are any queries on the chat. So I'm watching it on the mobile. So excuse me for that. Okay, so now let's come back to the official documentation. We have seen that. And from here, we said that we have covered 1 and 2, partially this one. This is pending. That's coming next. Next on, I think, part 2. That's on 10th April. We'll be covering these two. Today we are discussing this and text moderation. For some reason, I could not understand where the text moderation has been there here in the latest format. So whatever the previous link which I have selected, so that is available with me. So we'll go with that syllabus. Okay. And first, let me select this one. Deploy AI services in containers. So let's quickly go through it, and we'll discuss only the things which we need to, like understanding containers. Someone who are coming for the first time, you can see that we can deploy the images of AI services inside the Docker container or Azure Container Instance or Kubernetes. So today we are going to try these two. Again, I will take this as an action item to come back and redo this one. So I'll do Notepad++ and make a note here itself that I'm taking it as an action item. Sometime in future episodes, we will be doing those things. I will keep it there as an action item. So that's cool. And another thing is, there is one URL, introduction to Docker containers. So please feel free to grab this link and and you can get some knowledge, or you can reach the official documentation and you can get through it. I just gave the link, and we saw that understanding the containers. The advantage of containers is we are packaging everything and we are shipping it. So if it is working at one place, the concept is it should work at every place, because all the dependencies are being wrapped up or packaged and it's being shipped. So that's a 90,000 foot view of what containers are. And using Azure services or Azure AI services as containers. So you can see that um, all of the not all of the services are exposing as part of the containers. Some of the services, they have been exposed. We will see what services has been exposed. We'll get an official list. We'll go and look at it, and the client application will interact with the container. If you see that, here is a container on our local box, and our application will talk to this. It will not go and talk to the service, Azure AI service, which is there inside the cloud. So but internally these guys will speak like how much of service we are using, what should be billing, or what should be the billing for the services which you are using. That's a different concept, but technically our application, we speak with this container which has been deployed locally on our machine, but this container will speak to it for billing purpose or metrics, whatever is happening under the hoods. Okay, so now we can see some of the images which were given here. These are for the language, and these are for the language and language detection. This is what we are using today. And you can see speech containers, vision containers, and Azure AI container configurations. Configuration perspective, three things are very important: API key, billing, and EULA. We will see that in a minute. Huh? I just wanted to walk you guys through the fundamentals or few things. And this is an exercise where we will be doing this exercise of using this container in our local box as well as in the cloud. Okay, so that being said, let's come back to the documentation, and that's the we'll go and see the first link here. If you come and see, this is the module which we were seeing. Okay, that's the first link I've given, and all the learn modules for this session I've given at the top. Okay, just go through the learn modules. You'll get more knowledge on that. And then you can see this is the exercise which we'll be following today. For this, maybe 30 minutes of our session will be majorly on this. And here, if you come back to the official documentation of what Azure AI containers are, they are giving benefits. And this is a decision container, which is part of what we are seeing today is the content moderation. This is from the time series data, detect the anomalies, and you can see Lewis and language surveys, everything they have given in the speech, vision, and from the security perspective, again, it's like non-SSL or SSL based, and I'm parking the some of the things like security as well as CI/CD for now, because it is we just started with this. It's just a third episode. Now, from the CI/CD perspective, we need to get deep into the weeds to know that what things we can put as part of the CI/CD. Suppose we are doing deploying a models, and everything should happen automatically once we check in or do some changes. Then it makes sense to bring in CI/CD into the game. Or if you want the infrastructure, whatever we are creating manually, and you want to create it as part of the GitHub actions through CI/CD pipeline, maybe GitHub or Azure pipelines, it should happen. So I'm parking those concept of the CI/CD and some of those security things. We discussed few things in the previous episode, but others I'm parking it, because once we grow old, we'll know that, hey, if the things are coming out of the box, we are just using the completely prepared model. So there might not be much things for us to do as in CI/CD thing. But let's go deep into the weeds, find out what is that we are doing. Somewhere if we are doing fine tuning or something else which has to be which is a repetitive job, and we have to improvise on that, then it makes sense for us to do CI/CD or some kind of automation to improve our life. So I'm parking the CI/CD concepts because I just want us to grow old in this thing. And also that's one thing. And another link is this one. Deploy on premise is another link where you can see they have given these links where we can go ahead and deploy, which is there here. And just browse this link, because anyways we are going to see a dive into that. I don't want to call it as a deep dive. It might be a deep dive or semi deep dive, I don't know. And this is ACI. We'll be doing entirely this one. Azure Container Instance. Kubernetes, I took it as an action item. We'll come back to that one, but we are going to do this one. Okay, that being said, first thing is the introduction. What is that we are going to do? That's what we did it now till now. And what I'll do is show the Docker which is installed on my local box. So I do deactivate this one and come back. What all the other tabs I have prepared it. Okay, this is one demo, and this is another demo. Okay, Docker, and I type Docker. It is giving this one. Uh, the Docker executable, it is giving list of commands, so we can get deep into those commands and do a lot of things. Like we can do Docker info. Now it gives a pretty much a detailed information, like what this Docker buildx and other things, server, how many containers are there, how many has been stopped, and a lot of other information it gives. Just browse it. And I'm using the Docker desktop because I do community service. So all my community service projects I use Docker heavily. So we are using I'm using the Docker desktop also, which is pretty much I like it. And here we can go ahead and look at these images, all these images there on my Docker hub also. Okay, I'll show you that a little later. But it has been hooked into that one also. You can see all these features it has got, and also I have an single cluster Kubernetes also installed as part of this Docker desktop. So that is the reason you're seeing that Docker engine is running as well as the Kubernetes. Both are running. I just wanted to start with two pieces in this episode where we'll discuss about deploying that in the local Docker and as well as the Azure Container Instance. Okay, so let's get started with this, and we'll create this Azure AI Services. Azure AI Services. And I'm selecting it. And here we already discussed this thrice. So let me quickly go. And Azure AI Services 001 Dev 1, and today is 26th March. Okay, and the pricing tier we already know that, and I say accept, click on create and review, because I'm allowing all networks and everything. I'm taking it as part of the default options, and then we'll click on create. So it creates this. It will be very fast. Okay, that will be pretty fast. It will not take much of a time. and yeah, it's done. And also we verified that we have Docker installed locally, and we are provisioning the Azure AI service. We already provisioned the Azure AI service. We can come into this one, and we are seeing the Azure AI services is already there. And endpoint, for that endpoint we can go into the keys, or we can get it from the overview pane itself. Here in this overview pane we can take this is the same endpoint which you will see here under the keys and endpoints. You see this one. So whatever you see there, you will be seeing here. But for keys, we need to come here. So we'll look at the some of the nitty gritties of those things, and we already discussed that how to get the keys in the previous session. But I just kept it here. We can come back and get the cloud shell, get into the cloud shell, and give the resource group name and Azure AI service name. You will get that one. So just to ensure that we are doing it, the resource group name is same. So I just paste this resource group name. This is the PowerShell, guys. I used it in PowerShell, so I'm sticking it to the game plan in the PowerShell only. I'll switch that. It will be real quick. So we don't need to go and get it from here. Suppose if we have the terminal Azure CLI, we'll be able to get it. So I can paste that and selected that. And also let me come in here and let me select this one piece here. I just wanted to paste that and copy this name and paste it and close it. Now I can execute this one command which will show the keys of that. When we type, it shows two keys. We can come and click on the show keys, and you can see that F4A1, F4A1, and C943. So you're seeing that. So if at all your keys are getting compromised, we can click on regenerate keys, and that will regenerate the keys. You're seeing that I generate the two, and I'm generating the key one, which started with C9. Now it is this one. Okay. So that's how we'll do the uh, discussing or interacting with the keys. If the keys are compromised, we will change that one. And we can get the official images. We saw the list, whatever is being provided, we can get that list. And what we do is we'll copy this one and we will execute. Please ensure, for me, for some reason, it took more than 30 minutes to bring this image. I don't know why. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'll bring this one, copy, and I'll do clear. And what? For some reason, this is troubling me. Okay, okay. Now I entered it, but you can see that it as the images are already cached. I did this last night, so this is fast. But last night when I tried, it took more than 40 minutes for me. I don't know why. So if at all you're doing, just check if it is taking the same 40 minutes. So it says that image is up to date. Nothing we need to do. So after that, what we have to do is we have to execute this command to start this container. So what I will do is I will get the keys and the endpoint. We need those two. So let's come in here, and what I can do is, this is the one I showed you at both the places where we can do it. So I'm copying that and pasting it over here. This is the endpoint. Okay. And the second thing is we need your API key. So I copy the API key and I'll paste it here. Okay. After pasting it, I'll make a copy of this command. I just want to show you how to find out what is that uh, it is doing. Okay, first let's assume that we are executing this command. So we don't know what is the port on which it is running and other things. We don't know really. So first we'll execute it and we'll see what is that it is happening under the hoods. We'll come to know. See this, the metering. So metering is like billing. How many times you're invoking this? What should be charged? Everything. So for that reason, it is asking your API key as well as your endpoint. So this is sure that you have the Azure AI service provisioned in the Azure and you're using the Docker container. So anyone, they're not allowing anyone to go and take this Docker container and start using it. So you can use this image, but you should have the real resources in your Azure so that they will use internally from the Docker container. They are submitting the usage statistics to the Azure so that they'll be able to bill you. Now, if you executed that command, then you are seeing that it says that now listening on 00 colon 5000. That means the port number is 5000. 000 means I'm accepting the traffic from anywhere in this world. And the other way to investigate that is this is the one. You can see that cognitive service. I can click on that. And inside the logs here, the EULA, we said accept. And it is logging some of the console. It is logging. And you can see the content root path is app. And the port number is 5000. So you can click on this port and boom, it's not displaying anything. I'll come back to this one. Just hold on. Okay, I'll come back why it's not executing because we didn't do the port mapping. If we come and do an investigation, here you can go deep into the weeds to find out what is the port bindings and other things. I didn't do a port binding because I just wanted us to do some high level view and then see. So we have some volume mounts, but we didn't do anything from our side. And here is the command perspective. We passed EULA and the billing. We gave the service endpoint and the API key. And if you see that here, it says that /app. So we can do exec into that and I can do ls and print working directory. So right now we are in app. So you can see that the logs, it says that the content root path is /app. And when you do then exec into that, you're seeing that these all the things which are getting executed. So somewhere there should be an API kind of thing or some kind of executable it is. See dub root. That means most probably it is an API. And see here there are debugging PWDs are there and a lot of libs are there, configs, JSONs, and including you have the Swagger also. Containers, Swagger, there are a lot of things. You have app config, you have Swashbuckle, you have Prometheus. That means for metrics, they have the poly to do a retry, and tons of information are there. We can do a deep dive into that sometime later, but at least you can see that what is happening under the hoods. So now we understand that the port, the Docker port is 5000. Now what is coming from outside is different. So from on my box 5000 something else is running. So I'll map it, my port, the host port versus the Docker port. The Docker port, we know that is 5000. So the host port can be anything unless there is some issue in that one. So let's do that piece now. Oh, by the way, whatever we are trying now is that here, just like note, there is an issue currently being investigated that some users hit where containers won't deploy properly or the calls to the container fails. So our case is this one. Our cases it will fail, but still we need to know that what is happening under the hoods, how to do it. When that issue is fixed, it will be all is well. Okay, but let's give it our own try to this one. Now let me come back to the documentation. So this is the Docker port. So 5005 is host port. So now I'm taking this and now I'm pasting it again. So now if you see here, IT is interactive terminal, and you can see that it is not yet started. Here it says that if you don't have a valid subscription, then you may not use this container. Clearly, they are giving until unless you have the real resources provision. No point in you bringing in this container and trying to use it. It will definitely fail because until unless you don't give this endpoint and the key, it will not allow you. So now you're seeing that again. It shows this. Now, what is the difference? We can go back to this one and directly let's go to the I'm sorry, here this one here itself it says that the host port is 5005 and the Docker port is 5000. So the same you can see here in the port bindings. So 5005 is the host port. So that means I can click here very well and it displays a beautiful page here. And will it work? There you go. So because they said that Swagger, we saw the DLL, Swagger DLL. So definitely it works with the Swagger DLL. And here you can see that detect language v3 and detect language. Can we go ahead and hit it? This is the payload it is giving and what is the response. So we can read a lot of things here in this documentation. It is giving tons and tons of API specification. So if you go to the root, it gives this beautiful page. And if you go to the Swagger endpoint, you can do deep dive into that, and you can see that we can hit this get status, and what is that you're going to get the response 200. And similarly you can go and see whether the analysis or the detect languages. We have seen that how to pass the values. We saw that in the previous sample, that is 3.1 this v1, and we are seeing tons and tons of documentation in that. So with that, we are able to successfully establish the Docker container on our local. That's the text analytics Docker container. Okay. Now we did this exercise, and also we went into the Swagger. We saw tons and tons of documentation there. Okay. Now what is next? Next is we have to do send the curl. So I'm coming in here, I'm keeping this alive, and I just want to paste it, and we'll try with this. Anyways, according to the documentation, and I tried it last night pretty much, and it was failing. So let's give it a shot. Nothing harms. We can see that what is that it is doing under the hoods. Let's come back to the logs and see this. It is not even showing that it received a hit from us, because we saw that localhost 5005 shows the landing page. Also, we went to the Swagger and we saw that Swagger was showing a lot of documentation on that, and there you go, it blows off for some reason. And again, we can see the same thing in documentation, that currently it fails. The calls and the calls to those containers will fail, and we are seeing it practically. And also, just to give the benefit of doubt, let's try 3.0 also. Oh, 3.0 definitely it fails because the container itself has been blown off. Now we need to restart the container, and nothing. It's not giving any log after that. It says that the container has started, but it's not giving anything after that. So it fails, no questions asked. We need to wait until the latest image has been updated and we can pull that and start working. But this is a good exercise to understand what is that involves to work with this. Let's go to the second tab where we are trying to um, hit with version 3.0. Just give me a minute, I'll have a glass of water. It will fail anyways, we know that. Or if it is if it is not failing, then that's pretty good news. I'm not seeing any action also inside this because I was expecting. Oh, for some reason it is chewing up a lot of memory. Saw that the memory bumped up to 78 or something. I don't remember the number. In recording, we can see that the moment I flashed it, the memory was pretty much high. And you see that this is the status. Okay, we can park it. The first piece we wanted to know how to play or work with the Docker containers locally. All the containers, I didn't try all the containers. I just tried this one because that's where I've started and I'm using this one for first three episodes. I might try some other, but based on that thing, I will restrain from trying. I don't know. I might try in future. We tried with this one. Now let's go ahead and start deploying the same image which was failing on our local Docker to Azure Container Instance. So again, let's switch back here, and yeah, we have the details. We don't need to worry about that. I'll close it, and let's go and create the Azure Container Instance. Uh, Let me come back to recently used and container instance. Yeah. Azure Container Instance, AI 102 dev 001 2603. I don't want to recreate and waste time. So availability zones, we don't need it. And SKU is standard. And registry, we'll click it on, we'll select others. And where did I get this information? I got this information from here because I remember those values. So that is the reason I'm moving fast. But the link which I've given, everything is given in this link. Okay, so that will be others, and if you come in here, the image is the same image what we have given in the command, but I'll pick it up from here. It's a SKU is standard. Okay, and the image is public. I have pasted the image and it is Linux, and let me change the size to 12 GB RAM. The RAM is 12 GB. And let's come back to the networking. And in the networking, networking type is public. Enter the unique DNS, and port is, instead of 80, it is 5000. So the port I'm coming in here and I'm making it 5000 because I was mentioning I have an issue in my local. So that's the reason I'm using it. This 5005 port. ACI AI 102 and dev 001 2603. Perfect. So that's the name, DNS label name we have given, and we'll go to advanced. And here also there's an option. Here you need to give this API key. First we'll give EULA. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I don't want to. mispronounce it and create problems for myself. So I'm just pronouncing it. Uh, this should be secure. Okay. So that will be API key. We'll bring in here. And what is the API key? We already have the API key over here. That's this one. That's the API key. And you can see that it has been masked the moment we said that use it as secure. And again, this is the endpoint should also be secure. So I pasted that endpoint, and here it's calling at billing, as we know that it already told us. And I think all is well. We are not giving any external commands, command overrides on anything. And there you go. Cross my fingers and uh, click on this create, and there you go. Click on the create. So anything which I feel I have to do it little later, I'm just parking it, because today itself we discussed about two different containers stuff. One is using the Docker containers, one using Azure Container Instance. And to be frank, I was not well prepared to bring in the Azure Kubernetes or any Kubernetes into the mix. So I just want to park it and do it little later. But let's take baby steps, but we'll learn as much as possible. Together we are. I'm also learning along with you people, preparing for this certification. So I'm not certified right now, but I'm preparing for that. So we are on the journey to get ourselves certified. So, okay, we'll see what is the next step in the meanwhile in the documentation. So we have to create the Azure Container Instance, and the FQDN, whatever we have given, that will be over here, and our containers will be shown here in this one. And we'll come back the alerts and metrics and other stuff, because I was as I was mentioning, we are pending to do this unit. So we did this unit partially, and few pieces from this also we did it, but April 10th is the one where we are going to cover, and we will exclude the CI/CD from that, because until unless we go start doing our own AI, full blown machine learning and AI, creating our own models, let's park it. But at least we'll see that even if it is possible, we'll do a infrastructure as a service with CI/CD. We'll see what best we can do while learning. So here we can see that the operation details. It took 1 minute 30 seconds. So I think it might take a minute or two. But let's come back and discuss about this one. And then we'll use the curl, and we'll use postman, and also this will be very interesting. The postman stuff will be very interesting, and also the Python program which we did it in the first two sessions, we'll use that one also, but there'll be small difference. We'll be using the Azure Container Instance endpoint, but we are not going to use the Azure AI Service endpoint directly. We'll be using this one. This will be very fun. Just give it a minute, let it finish, and we'll quickly deploy that. Oh, it says created, and what else it is doing? Close this. Never mind. We'll come back here. It will show that once it is done. It will show that. Let's not wait there. We'll come back over here. So this is the Azure AI Service, the multi-service account, and this is the Azure Container Instance. So we'll click on that Azure Container Instance. Here is an FQDN with which we'll be able to reach, and IP address it is displaying because it's still creating it. We will wait for that. And here, if you can come and see that, there you go. It says that running. So that means almost the deployment is done. Perfect. See, because the moment I saw this, the state itself is running. Here you can see that it has started, and it started pulling this image. It pulled it and it started the container. And you can see that when you come to the properties, it shows that what is the port, what is the image from which this container has been made. And also here you can see that when we marked whether the secure equal to yes or no, here you see the difference. So when we say that secure is no, means it gives the clear text, and for these two we marked it as secure is true. And volume is a external volume. We'll discuss in future what external volume is, how to mount it, but as of now let's stick to the game plan. We saw events, we saw properties, and we saw that logs. So you can see that logs are pretty similar to what we have seen, that it says that if you don't have valid subscription, better to stay away or not to use that. And connect is the one which I did a exec. We can still do the same exec here also, but let me stick to the game plan. We'll first learn how to interact with this. Let me come back over here and copy this and paste it. Let's see whether it's going to this FQDN. Okay. In the meanwhile, let's come back to this one and try this curl here all the way till here. Okay. I just modified it and I have copied that curl command, and let me do a clear and paste it and enter. So let's wait for it. What is it taking? A warm up time? What? What 80? No, no. Oh, that's my mistake. That was my mistake. It should be port 5000 because it was trying on port 80. So again, I didn't give the port number over here. So that is the reason it was trying on port 80, because it was HTTP and it failed. Now let's see what is the output of this one. And in the meanwhile, let's make another call from here. Let me grab the address again, once again, the FQDN. Is it not ready? Okay, it's ready. That's copied. So let's give this a chance. Okay, let's do a send. It's taking time. It shouldn't take this much time. Something else is either missing or something else is wrong. It shouldn't definitely take this much time. No, something else is going wrong. Let's look at it. Instead of speculating, let's see what is that which is going wrong. Let's get into the logs. Oh, okay, it started now. So it took some time. Cancel. Now if I send, there you go. That's what I said, that because first when we saw that it was showing logs still here. When we came back, that's when I think it just started. Now curl will also work. It already worked, because we did Kale Vanakam and it says Tamil, and we gave some French text. It is coming. So now we have seen that once we provision the Azure container instance, still we can come and look into the logs, at least to a high level. Also we can look at it, whether the app has been started or not, and we know that from where we need to grab it. So what else we did it now, instead of trying it on our local Docker, we provisioned the Azure container instance. We deployed the text analytics container image on Azure container instance. We saw that the basics of that one, and did look a 90,000 foot view of those properties and what is the prominence of selecting is secure or not, and then go into that to find out and verify the text analytics we did with the curl. And what is very important is the this one is very important. And uh, and then what did we do? We verified that in Postman. And one thing we observed here, between the previous call, when we were executing it in the previous call, if you go to the headers where we used to pass the subscription key. Now, but that's because we are directly hitting the Azure container, sorry, Azure AI services. We are not hitting the containers, we are hitting the Azure AI service. Now we are hitting the Azure container instance. I didn't try this 3.1. I think it was failing. No, it is working. 3.1 is also working. So we can use 3.1 also. So let me update that here in the command. Why don't I update, and let's hit that 3.1 also, so that there will not be any, we'll be using the same version in the previous episodes what we used it, and now so we used version 3 or version 3.1. It's giving the output. We tested in the curl and we tested in the Postman. Now we see the Python program is little different. It's not a major change. Now for the Python program to get execute, we need three things, because we will execute one with the Azure AI service and one with the container instance endpoint. We'll show the difference, how it looks. So let me come back to this documentation, and where is that? Come on. What? Where did I store? Yeah, here. That's what I was looking at. Let's take this, and I'm changing the env file. Okay, and endpoint as this one, as an endpoint, and Azure container instance. Let's bring in this guy. There you go. That's a Azure container instance. Now we are trying two different ways. One is we are using the REST and hitting the Azure AI services, and that needs two things. That needs an endpoint and the key. And when you deploy it to Azure container instance, again, its entire world can use it, until unless you have some VNet integration or some kind of authentication to get the load to that. That's a different ball game. But please, as of now, whatever we deployed in Azure container instance, that entire world can access it. Just an FYI. Okay, that jokes apart, but it's not a joke. It's a serious threat if we don't put it that way. Okay, now in this Azure AI demos, I'll come back and cd text analytics Python dir, and what? Where did I do the changes? Looks like I did it at wrong location. Correct. This is the correct path. Looks like, just give me a minute. This is the correct path. Okay. language detection. Okay, so let me enable the virtual environment, and I have two things: REST client and REST ACI. So I'll just give you the key differences. Inside this REST client, we are using two things: endpoint and key. Where are we using that? Here, where we are creating, where we are passing the endpoint, we are using here. And as part of the subscription key, we are passing the key. And rest of the things are same. And now, if you see, oh, one more difference is there. That is that client HTTPS connection. So we are making the connection secure SSL. And now you see that when we are using the Azure container instance, we are not using the key. We are just using the endpoint, which we have specified over here. That's the ACI endpoint. Okay. And the second thing is we are not using the key. And here we are not passing the headers, the subscription key. And here the connection is HTTP. And rest of the things are same. Just to avoid that, I think 3.1 was not working. I don't know, but let's check that. No harm in trying something new. REST client. We'll just test Mercy. Thank you. And there you go. It displayed it. And Python and REST client ACI. So you can see that. There you go. And you can see the confidence score is 96, same 096, and the confidence score here also it is 096. So I will do a quit of this one and do a deactivate of that. And now let's do a quick recap. I think I don't want to rush into the content moderation at this point of time because now it is 5:58 and I don't want to do something in 2 minutes. Let's take time, let's learn. Even though we'll have more number of episodes, that's not an issue, but we want to learn a lot, at least to a decent extent. I don't want to say a lot, but at least to a decent extent we want to learn. So this I'll update it after the session, and I'll check in that. And also we saw that what is that we discussed deep dive into the deploy Azure containers. I think I can if I'm not exaggerating, I used a deep dive word, but to a decent extent we did a dive to understand the Docker containers and the advantages of Docker containers. When can we use Docker containers? When you don't want the content to go out of your corporate network. Still, you need to provision the resources in the Azure cloud. The container itself will do a interaction with your subscription for a billing purpose. We saw how to play with this keys, and then how to retrieve this, pull this image and start the container. We went deep into that. We saw how the landing page will appear, how to read the Swagger, what documentation it is giving, what is the host port, what is the Docker port, and how to test it. It would have been fun if this was working, but never mind. That's not at all an issue. We'll come back and try something else. Then we spent a decent amount of time on bringing up our Azure container instance, and then deploy the same image there. And we interacted with the Azure container instance using the curl, and then we did Postman, and we saw the difference. Postman doesn't send the subscription key now. And also we saw the difference in Python programs with Azure AI Service and with the Azure Content Instance. We saw few differences. We don't use key, and the endpoints we are hitting. One is AI Service, one is the container instance, and one is we are using the HTTPS connection. One is HTTP connection. That's it. Okay, so that's it from my side, guys, in this third episode. And fourth episode, every episode will be like this, full on hands on. We'll do a mapping with what is the learn module with which one, because these are dynamics are changing. I just want to watch how it is changing. As I was mentioning, we to a decent extent we covered till here, and this one I am doing in the next episode. We did partially, and remaining we'll do it. Some of the portions, CI/CD kind of thing, we are going to park it, and next to next will be analyze image and classify images. I mean, we are going through the official syllabus and doing hands-on. Something we need to do it, we'll again come back and we'll revisit. Okay, so that's from my side. Back to you, Rashmita.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have
So
any
let's.
queries?
No, I don't
No.
think we have
Yeah.
anything at the moment. Yeah, we are all good. So thank you so much, Swami, for hosting this amazing session. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you. Have a nice evening ahead. Bye.
Thanks, folks.